Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. We hope you all are staying safe out there. In the meantime, I've actually got some of the coolest new knives that have hit our shelves here at the Knife Center in the past week. And right now, we are still shipping, so let's check them out. Alright, the first thing I want to show you isn't actually a knife, it's actually a trainer from Squid Industries. This is their Nautilus, Balisong, or butterfly knife trainer. Given the way a lot of us are forced to stay at home right now, this is actually something that'd be really great to help pass the time, learning how to flip a butterfly knife, and with something like this, you're gonna get high quality without having to worry about a live edge, so you're not gonna have to worry about cutting yourself. Even though it does kind of look like this has a combo edge because you have some things here that look kind of like serrations, but they're just decorative. This is, however, a nicely weighted tool. We've got some really tight pivots here. When I say tight, I mean that in a good way. They're definitely free floating, but there's no slop in them at all. This really is something that's put together at a very high standard, so you can really practice with something that's as good as a full-fledged, nicely flipping butterfly knife. The action's quite good, even for someone like me who's far from an expert, but what I really like about this one is the construction. You can see we've got some black G10 with red anodized frames, but what's cool, in addition to just, it looks really cool, is the construction method itself. That aluminum there is actually an integral handle. You can see where it's milled out to create a pocket for that blade. Single piece of aluminum with the G10 bolted to the outside. Creates a really cool look. It's definitely a premium feature, that type of construction, and it kind of goes a little ways towards explaining the price of this. We come in at about 230 bucks on this Nautilus. That's actually in the range in some of the mid-tier, really good butterfly knives out there, because even though it doesn't have the live blade, everything else is constructed to a similar high standard, so you really should expect to pay that kind of money for similar performance to the live bladed versions. But it's a really cool piece. It's made right here in the USA, and there's really never been a better time to start learning to flip a butterfly knife. All right, probably the biggest news this week is the return of Elmar. Now, of course, Elmar, the brand, if you haven't been following along, was actually acquired recently, maybe a bit over a year ago, something like that. And now they're made in China, they're not made in Japan anymore. The new owners are having them built there. And you trade out some of that really high-end Japanese quality for a more affordable price tag, and they're still put together quite well. This is the new Seer 2020 knife, or this particular one actually is the 40th anniversary Seer. It's a little bit different from the base models. They all come with FRN handles. This one has an interesting little texture on it to differentiate it from the others. But there's a few different colors available, just like the old G10. You can get black, green, and I believe coyote tan, if I'm remembering correctly. So you've got those options, but it's the same great shape that you know from before, now just a little more affordable. 40th anniversary one has a nice little golden shield right here. It's not actual gold. And I'm just checking here the prices on these, depending on which version you get. You've got 3-inch and 3.5-inch versions. They go from about $64 up to about $112. Because those more expensive ones, I forgot, you actually can get G10 still on some of the versions if you want that. Of course, the big change you see here versus the older Seer models is this is an assisted opening flipper. So you've got nice repeatable action, but you still have that really cool blade shape, that classic Seer blade shape, available in D2 or HCR13 MOV if you prefer a stainless option. This knife still feels very nice in the hand. It fills it up. You've got a nice ramp here to index when you're using it if you need to pierce this or pierce with this blade for anything. And to that end, we've got a nice swedge here with the saber height flat grind. Makes it very efficient as a piercer, even though it's going to be a nice strong blade if you need to kind of put it through the ringer a little bit more. Got mostly open back to construction, a strong back spacer, or a strong end spacer I should say, and a deep carry clip which is mounted from the back of the knife itself. I really like it when companies do this. Buck is another one who does this on their Vantage series, because it's reversible and it really does carry nice and deep in the pocket. So you can keep it out of the way, kind of keep it, I don't want to say keep it hidden from anyone, but you can keep it out of the way in your pocket until you need to use it. Now, other Elmar classics like the Hawk, the Eagle, and the Falcon are back, and I've got the Ultralight Eagle flipper here. This new version is a titanium frame lock flipper. It's a really cool update, I think, to this classic design. Price on this one comes in at $188. We've got a thin titanium frame, about 4-inch blade, almost 4-inch blade, D2 steel in this case. Kind of a similar profile or a similar type of style in terms of the grind as the Seer knife there. but the blade itself a little bit thinner, so it should cut a little more efficiently. And with this long tapered, or this long narrow blade and a narrow frame as well, this really fits in well with the executive knife category. The flipping action is definitely good. We've got ball bearings in the pivot, gives it a pretty good action, and it's just overall, it's a classic piece. If you prefer something a little more traditional looking, we do have the slip joint versions and the honey jigged bone versions of these knives also available now. Pricing on those, I don't have those in front of me, but you can find those at the website, and we'll make sure to leave links to those in the description below. So I've got one more Elmar to show you today. We do have more new models than just these, but I'm not going to show them all to you right now. I love this design. This is called the Stinger, and it's a really cool keychain knife that really is very unobtrusive. It doesn't look at all like a knife when it's on your keychain. It just looks like a big key fob, almost like you could unlock your car with it, but of course you can't. You can press the little button there all you want. You know, you're not going to hear any beeps from the doors unlocking. Price on these come in at 24 bucks. There's a blue, red, and black option, but you just push this little tab down and you can pull that small blade out right there. It's about 1.3 inches in length, D2 blade steel, which is quite nice. And even though it has what looks like a finger or an index finger groove here, finger groove, choil, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's pretty small. You're not really going to be gripping the knife like this, I don't think. For me, the way this really feels nice, do a pinch grip right there, and then you can use your middle finger as kind of support. You can do like opening your boxes. It's going to have no problem kind of pulling through, opening up tape. You can then reverse it if you want to cut away from yourself. Just a nice little utility piece. It's flat ground, it's got a nice swedge here on the back, but this is single edge only. That top edge is not sharpened. It's just, like I said, a really nice utility piece, and it's very incognito on your keychain itself. It's not gonna raise any eyebrows whatsoever, unless someone happens to see Elmar and then actually knows what Elmar is. But then, if they do, it's probably a knife person too, and you probably wanna talk to them. So there you go, let your freak flag fly with the little Elmar Stinger. It's pretty darn cool, I think. All right, next we've got a couple of new variants from one of my favorite guys in the knife industry, LT Wright. We've got a new version of the Patriot in stock right now. This comes in at about 85 bucks with brown burlap micarta handles and A2 blade steel with a flat grind. This is a really cool everyday carry piece, comes with a nice small leather sheath. So if you can carry a belt sheath, but you still just want something small, this is a great option. Being an LT Wright, the handles are shaped by hand and there's no hot spots whatsoever. I myself get a nice 3-finger grip, and then my pinky kind of catches a little bit there on the end to offer a little bit of extra support. Blade length about 2.6 inches. Just a really solid drop point blade for your everyday cutting needs. I really like it, and this is not the only Patriot we have, but this is the coolest new one that we've got right now. The same goes for the LT Wright Northern Hunter series. We've got new versions in both large and small sizes with a polished black micarta with orange G10 liners. Blade steel is AEBL stainless, nice and tough. It certainly holds an edge very well too. Blade length on the large is about 4 3/8 or thereabouts, about 160 bucks for this option. And the small version comes in at about 140, and that one has a blade about 3.5 inches long, tip to scale measurement. Both are AEBL, both have this really cool handle material going on. And even though it's not really hunting season right now, the reason that it's a good time, I think, to pick one of these up, the large version of this is actually really great in the kitchen, in addition to your camp chores and your hunting needs. And the small version, I actually really like that one for everyday carry too. It's a solid design with some cool new materials, so I thought you might want to see them. And so even though neither of those two LT Wrights were really bushcraft knives per se, LT Wright as a company is certainly very well known for their bushcraft knives. And now we're going to go to another company that makes some cool bushcraft stuff, Lion Steel, with their new B35 bushcraft fixed blade. I really like their B40, which has about a 4-inch blade. This is very similar to that knife, just scaled down a little bit. We've got about 3.5 inches of Sleipner steel going on here. It's flat ground. We've got a nice crown spine for comfort. Definitely makes it a little bit easier to push down on. But if you still want to have the ability to strike a fire steel with your knife, we've got a little bit of a protruding tang here at the back, and the edges are crisp enough that they should strike a ferro rod no problem. It's also going to provide a nice little place if you need to thump on anything. You've got that tang sticking out, so you're not going to damage your handles if you need to do that. Speaking of handles, I've got the green micarta version here. There's a couple different colors of micarta available, as well as some exotic wood, some of the Mediterranean stuff. We usually see a lot of olive wood coming out of Italy, and we've got that here as well. They're a little bit on the narrower side. They're not a super hand-filling grip. but they're contoured very nicely so that they're still gonna nestle into the hand quite well without raising any kind of real hot spots as you're working. Great for bushcrafters, even better for hikers if you still want a really solid fixed blade but are looking to not carry too much with you. This is a good overall size, gonna be nice and controllable and easy to carry for long periods of time. Good for EDC too, if you're a fixed blade EDC type of person. It's just a solid design and it's priced pretty darn well too. All of these knives, no matter which of the handle options you choose, come in at about $130. And next up, another new Lion steel. We actually have a new version of the Bestman folder now available with this drop point blade. The blade steel is M390. We've got a full flat grind with a nice swedge there out near the tip. Good everyday carry shape, I must say. But the clip point version is still available, as well as the 2-blade version with a clip point and a worn clip if you want something a little bit different and you like what you see here. Crown spine again, just like the fixed blade we just saw, and even the back spring on the slip joint mechanism itself is crowned as well. Nice little touch, a nice little Italian touch. It really holds things together. Good half stop, good walk and talk, nothing to complain about. And a dual long pull, no, not quite a long pull, but a dual pull on each side, not quite a nail nick either. That way, easy for lefties or righties, no problem. The handles, we've got titanium bolsters, and I've got the natural canvas micarta version right here. Comes in about $130, about the same price as that fixed blade actually. But there are, just like that fixed blade, a few different options, including some olive wood and other wood options, as well as a carbon fiber version. That one's a little more expensive, I think, at about $140. It's just a really cool modern slip joint. You've got the classic good looks, especially with one of the wood options with, modern super steel performance. M390 steel, I don't know if I mentioned that before. You really can't go wrong. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got a big combat fixed blade. Definitely a lot different from a surreptitious and elegant gentleman's knife. But this is the new D2 Extreme fixed blade from Kbar's Combat Utility series, or their Fighting Utility series, coming in at about $134 right now. It's the same overall profile as the classic Kbar knife, the Mark II fighting knife, the Kbar, the USMC fighter, no matter what you want to call it, it's all the same knife. D2 blade steel, as the name suggests, 7 inches. It's got the same flat ground saber geometry with a nice fuller on both sides and a swedge clip point shape. The handle mixes things up a little bit though. Instead of stacked leather, we have Kraton, which is a grippy rubber essentially, and the guard and the pommel are a little bit different also. The rear guard the rear facing side of the guard is not as prominent as on the standard knife, and I really like what they've done to kind of smooth over some of these edges. This isn't just like a flat folded piece of metal. This winds up being a little bit more comfortable, I think, than some of those flat versions of the hilt that you'd see on the stacked leather versions. The pommel also is a little bit oversized. It's not just the simple circle there. Got a little bit sticking out. It's going to give you a nice place, a nice big flat surface if you do need to hammer on this with anything. It's a really cool knife, good updated classic, maybe a little bit more high performance depending on what kinds of uses you're looking to put it through. Kbar D2 Extreme fixed blade, right now made in the USA. So speaking of Kbar, we've got a new Spartan. Yes, that's right. Essentially, Kbar and Spartan blades kind of teamed up. I guess last year they announced this to form Pineland Cutlery, which is not actually going to be a brand name appearing on any of the knives. It's more of a holding company. But what that gets you is a Spartan blades knife made at a Kbar price point. You get their great design sensibilities. This new model, they've been calling it the silver line, or professional grade is actually what the boxes say, and that's how you're going to find them on our website. If you search Spartan Blades professional grade, this and a couple other knives are going to come up. This is the Damascus or Damascus, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. But what it is, we've got about a 5.5 inch blade, 1095 CV carbon steel, because this is a Kbar made blade. Really solid shape. I like the drop point profile. It's going to be, I think, would make a really good outdoor knife, even though overall I think this is more intended to be sort of a tactically inspired design. And part of that comes down to the handles. They are green micarta. They're a little bit on the flatter side, but they have a really heavy checkering pattern on there. Well, it's not going to be as comfortable as, let's say, a Becker knife, which of course Kbar also makes those. It is going to have a really solid hold in the hand, especially if you're wearing combat gloves or work gloves. There's a lot there to provide a little bit of extra traction to help you maintain your hold. But if you don't like those scales, I think just like those Beckers, since these are bolt-on handle material, This is going to be a really good platform for user modification. If you want to create your own or have something made that's a little thicker, you could do that. Or even if you just want to add some liners for yourself, that'd be very easy to do. But the handle shape itself, there's plenty of length there. I wear about a size large work glove most of the time. I've still got enough length here, and we've got a nice full-size finger choil here to choke up on if you need a little more length or you want to control the blade a little more easily. Let's talk a little bit more about that blade itself. We're about 3/16 of an inch thick, black powder coating to help keep rust at bay, and it is a smooth powder coat, which is quite nice. Flat ground geometry. It's just a really solid American-made knife, and it comes in right now at $195. All right, gonna round things out with a couple of folders, and both of these are gonna be American-made as well. We've got the new Mini Presidio II from Benchmade. Of course, we had the full-size Presidio, I think last month is when they came out, and this follows the same formula as that new version, only now in the mini size, which has a 3.2-inch blade of S30V blade steel. Nice drop point shape, good for general purpose stuff, flat ground with a swedge. There's actually a lot of flat ground drop points with swedges here on the table today. Must be useful. These makers must know something. But anyway, the real story of these the new versions of the Presidio is the switch from aluminum handle material to something they're calling CF Elite. The CF stands for carbon fiber, and instead of this being a glass reinforced nylon, this is a carbon fiber reinforced nylon. And for that reason, the color comes off as sort of a graphite. It's not quite black, and it has almost a papery quality to it that I really like. It's not a flat gray color. There's a little bit of sheen or shimmer going on as you move it around, and it just feels really nice. It comes with a deep carry pocket clip as well. Let's say you're looking for an upgrade or something in between the Benchmade Griptilian and the smaller mini Griptilian. I think this knife especially, it's a really good size. The price is really good too. It comes in about $123 for this small version. Solid American-made EDC with a really cool handle material. I really like these knives. All right, lastly, got a box for you. This box is gonna cost you $280. That's because of what's inside the box. And I'm not actually gonna open this fully because of the way it's packaged, but the new limited edition copper handle buck sprints are now in stock. Now the box itself isn't serialized, but you can see we've got some laser engraved markings here on the outside showing you the knife as well as some specs. Nice rubber band to hold things closed. It says limited edition. That's a limited edition rubber band, don't you know? But you can see as I slide the box open here, you can see how it's packaged, and that's one reason why I don't want to kind of get in there and unpack this, but also with a copper handle, I don't want to get my fingerprints on it and kind of ruin it. But the reason for that is there's only 100 of these out there. So if you want one of these, you're not gonna wanna wait. These are definitely gonna be very collectible, I think, in the future. It's a really cool knife design on top of that. If you've seen any of the Sprint knives before, it's Buck's first use of ball bearings in their flippers on a production level. It's got action that's nice and smooth. They've upgraded this one even further with those really cool copper handles, as well as Cerakoted S35 VN blade steel. It's just a really solid piece. Whether you want to collect it or use it, it's really cool. And like I said, only 100, so don't wait too long. So that's all I've got to show you right now in terms of what really I think are my personal standouts in terms of the best new knives that have hit our shelves in the last week. If you want to get your hands on any of these, we'll leave links in the description below that'll take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And fortunately, we are taking all the necessary precautions with our staff and our crew, but we are still able to be shipping orders out to you right now, and we're very thankful for that. And while you're over there on our website, make sure you're signed up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because the only thing better than a new knife is free money to spend on your next one. In the meantime, let me know what you liked out of the knives you saw here in front of me, and I hope you guys are all staying safe, sane, and sanitary out there. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.